Hello my fruity friends, I am sharing with you how I prep fruit for easy access because you know if it's easy you're going to snack on it more likely and it won't go to waste. This was actually a requested video and I'm so excited to bring it to you guys. So like pretty much everything on my channel, I am not an expert. I am simply sharing with you what works for me and my family. So I don't know the science behind all this or if it's actually the right thing. It's just what I do. So we're starting with strawberries, one of my absolute favorite fruits to have on hand because all of my kids and my husband and myself will gobble these up. I buy strawberries when they're on sale by many pounds, and we will eat them until they're gone. I almost always use my knife because it's so much quicker, but I also have a strawberry huller. Either way, I take the stem off of every single strawberry as my starting point. The huller works really well. I just feel like I'm a little more fast on my knife skills, but I get very little pink flesh when I use the huller, so it's very effective. Either tool works well. If you have only a knife, that is perfectly fine to use. Either way, I take the stem off and I either leave the strawberries whole, or if they're kind of going bad, depending on how on sale they were, I will cut them in half. That way it's really easy for me to cut off any soft spots that need to be taken off. Then I rinse the fruit off and I get it ready for soaking. That is the exact same thing that I do with grapes, so I am moving on before I show you the end process. When I prepare grapes, I almost always, depends on the mood, have two girls that are willing to help. So here is Elsie taking the grapes off of the vines with me. I love buying grapes. They have been wonderful prices at Aldi. This is another easy win for me. I love putting these not only on lunch plates, having them out for snacks in a big old bowl. Kids can come by and grab them as they want them, as long as they're old enough that it's not a choking hazard. But I really love to put those in the girls' lunches. So once the fruit has been prepared and rinsed, I add it into a bowl of water and then I just pour in a little bit of white vinegar. Unfortunately, I don't measure, but if I had to guess, I'd say about a quarter cup would do you just fine. And here is just an example in a Pyrex measuring cup. You can see right through there, the water is no longer clear like it was when it went in there. So you can just see that after rinsing, I always rinse first before the bath so you can get anything easy off and you're not soaking it. And then I add the vinegar and the water, let it soak for at least 10 minutes. Then I strain it, rinse it again, and my fruit is very nice and clean. I have done comparisons of grapes without doing this and just rinsing them, and it is a world of difference, not only in taste and how they look. They're so beautiful. And then I just store them in glass Pyrex containers is my personal favorite. It stores very well and it's hard edges, which is important in the fridge because you don't want them to be knocked around. Pineapple is something I don't buy as frequently as the other ones that I mentioned. However, it is so much fun to prepare because I have this pineapple corer. It is a very inexpensive tool. I got this as a Christmas stocking gift a few years ago, and it took me a couple of years to actually give it a whirl because I didn't really know how to use it. But I recently saw how people use it and I was blown away at how easy it makes taking pineapple out. It takes the core from the center, it twirls and makes pineapple slices just as if you were to pull it out of a jar, except for you get fresh pineapple, people. Do you understand the difference? It is so good. I could eat an entire pineapple fresh like this, and I actually have once on accident just by munching and not even realizing it was gone until I went to grab and there was no more. That was many years ago, but that's just how much I love it. So look, once I got it out, I just put it in a container and I pour the juice out and it stores perfectly. And if it gets a little ripe, you can always just add it to smoothies and it's so sweet and perfect. I love pineapple in smoothies. So this is the fruit that started the request. Is a friend of mine was like, how do you prep your watermelon? I saw it in your $10 dinner idea. How do you get it in that big bowl without making a huge mess? And this is a fruit that I actually really enjoy preparing because I know we will eat the entire thing. It is right now around $3.50 to $4 to buy a large watermelon in the Michigan area. And for an entire huge container, that is such a good value for all that fruit. So I love my vintage Tupperware bowl. I have bought two of these at garage sales. Actually, one was at an antique store, one was at a garage sale, but both at garage sale pricing, and I love to have these. It takes up almost an entire shelf on my fridge, but it's so worth it. So my method is I cross cut on quarters of watermelon. So I quarter the entire watermelon and then I cut one way and then I cut perpendicular to it and then I take my huge knife and I shave down shallow, and it takes about 2 or 3 swipes, but all of a sudden you have these little cubed watermelons, and it's so nice. Scooping it out this way pretty much guarantees that we will have it ready and available at every single meal. My girls both really love watermelon. I love watermelon. My son is kind of iffy on it, so he doesn't always run to it, but having this large bowl makes it super convenient to just scoop out a little bit, have it out at a party. It really is nice, and we will eat the entire thing until it's gone. I could be making this up, so don't quote me, but I think this is a 32 cup bowl, and that is just an amazing value for $3.50 worth of fruit. Like, it is enough fruit for every meal for our whole week. And I will say that the first time you do this, if you employ this method, it's not going to look as easy as I'm making it look, but I can tell you I've probably prepared 50, if not more, watermelons this way, because I literally do one every single week, unless it's some astronomical price, like all of a sudden it's not in season anymore. But that is a boatload of watermelon, and no one in my family will complain about that. Yum, yum, yum. If my kids aren't begging to lick and eat off the rind, which I make them do outside, FYI, we take the rinds and we throw them in our back field so that the deer can munch on them as well. And you may have noticed I have a dish towel as my base when I do this. That's because it is messy. So this helps to get a lot of the juices so it doesn't go all over my island. I learned that the hard way. And you can see there still is quite a bit of juice from the quarters that I had off of my towel. But I take that one towel, I scoop it all up, and then I spray, wipe down my counter, and there's no sticky ickies left behind. This is a process that took me a number of watermelons to perfect, but now it is super easy and I don't dread prepping my watermelon anymore. So in my opinion, definitely worth the effort to prep an entire watermelon for a week's worth of eating. Here is just an example of what it looks like after we have devoured most of the watermelon. Still going strong. So now we moved on to kiwi. I really love kiwis. My girls love kiwis. Kyle is kind of iffy because of how sour they can be and the way his tongue feels afterward. So kiwi is super delicious, but it's kind of hard to know for sure when it's good to use, but I just make sure that I can kind of press my thumb in. If my thumb doesn't make it an indent at all, it is definitely not ripe enough, so I just let it sit, but I do keep it in the fridge until I use it. I don't know if that's right or wrong, that's just how I do it. But we have bought enough kiwis over the years that our 2-pound clamshells come with these little kiwi spoons on occasion. There's like a serrated edge on one side for a knife. You can cut it open, and then the spoon, hello, focusing on the kiwi, not the camera, Jackie, really scoops out the kiwi half. So I send one of these spoons with a kiwi in my girls' lunches when they are getting kiwis in the lunch. It's not my favorite thing to add because it is messy, but if they get burnt out on strawberries and grapes, I do add a kiwi on occasion. So it scoops out pretty easy, and they get most of the fruit, and there's very little left on the shell. You can see there's very minimal effort, and I got most of the fruit out of there. However, if I am prepping these for a meal, I simply take a knife. I really enjoy just working with a knife because knife is so much more readily available than little gadgets. Like, you're not going to go into any old home and have a kiwi spoon. And even though I am a kitchen gadget lover, I do tend to use the basics more often than not. So this is my primary method of preparing a kiwi, is I skin it from the cut edge down to the bottom, and then I just cut off that entire peel. And once I have all of the fruit exposed, of course I throw away the skin, and then I just slice it, so into thin kiwi slices. And I find that about 2 kiwis will feed our family of 5, because after that my kids just think it gets too sour, and all of our tongues do get itchy by the end if we eat too much kiwi, but yum, it is so good. And super easy. So kiwi is not a fruit that I prepare ahead of time. I only prepare it the time of eating, and if I pack it in my girls' lunch, as I mentioned before, I just send them with a kiwi spoon and they cut it themselves during the lunch. I do not pre-cut these and have them ready to go because of how juicy they are, and I just feel like it's so much better when it's fresh. Now I'm moving on to the ready to eat, no prep needed, which is my favorite. Mandarins are kept in our fridge, and all 3 kids can now find them on their own and peel them on their own, so it's such an easy snack and a triple win. So another go-to in our house, we go through a 3-pound bag every single week, is apples. I buy whatever is on sale. My kids don't get a preference because I don't care. And the bananas, I only buy a couple of because I'm the only one that eats those regularly, but every once in a while my kids will grab a banana. Obviously don't need to do anything with the banana, but we clean our apples with a Norwex fruit and veggie cloth. It is super scrapey on one side and soft on the other that you can kind of like polish it with, but we get it wet, and both of my girls can use this independently, but I just scrub and polish the skin of an apple and it's ready to go. If you have any methods for preparing fruit that I didn't go over, make sure you leave them in the comments and hopefully others can find it. I would love to know if any of these tips helped you. And I'm so glad that you stuck around. I would love to have you join as a subscriber. I do grocery hauls, cooking videos, I do some DIYs and frugal things, all sorts of mom business stuff. So stick around. I'd love to have you. Thank you.